Hello and welcome to Horror Hyperfixations, where I look at horror through a neurodivergent lens. I'm Sam, your neurodivergent host, and I've got a couple of things to update you on at the top of the episode. This episode should be going out on the 5th of May. On Saturday, the 9th of May, is the Sick Girl Films Sick Girl Party. If you missed the last episode, go back and listen. They're absolutely amazing and what they're doing is brilliant. If you can't make it to London for the event on Saturday, please go give them a follow. Please go share the event. Please donate if you can. It is an absolutely fantastic community of people with mental illness, chronic illness, and they're just people like me. And I absolutely love them. And I've had some lovely, lovely messages from people who listened to the episode and said they felt so seen by the conversation with Lucy and Liv. So go and support them if you can. I will have another episode out very soon, very close after this one. I've been working on it for almost 2 months now, and it has become a big, cumbersome, unwieldy beast. But I'm very excited to share it with you. It is about the horror community and horror in general in Wales. I spoke to 2 Welsh filmmakers and 2 Welsh film festivals, and I had a bloody lovely time. It is quite a chunky episode, which is why it's taken a long time to edit, but I'm really excited to share it with you. So please keep your eyeballs peeled for that one and give it a share when it does come out. And you may have noticed I have proper artwork for the podcast. The wonderful Gareth Gibson of Gibson Graphics designed me the most beautiful artwork for the podcast. When I first started doing the podcast, I was like, I need something as a cover image. So I literally put my phone up against something black, took a photo to get a black background, and then edited the photo in the iPhone photo edit thing and just stuck some text on it. And I was like, that'll do. So I thought after 40 episodes, I think today is the 41st episode, and 2 years of doing it, that I should pay someone to have a proper logo. So I have a beautiful logo. Check out Gibson Graphics. Go give them a follow. If you need any like graphic design or logo design or anything, give them a shout, because Gareth is lovely. He understood from my garbled ramblings what I wanted and absolutely like hit it out the park. It is perfect. It is exactly what I wanted. So thank you so much to Gareth for doing such a beautiful design job. And yeah, if you want anything designed, Gareth is your guy. He is the best. Give Gibson Graphics a shout. He is absolutely brilliant. He's a really lovely guy, and I'm hoping to twist his arm and get him to come on the podcast soon as well, because I really want to talk to him about being an artist. I have quite a lot of Gareth's work at home, typically not behind me right now. But I do have quite a lot of his artwork at home and on t-shirts, and he's one of those artists that once you start spotting his work, you'll spot it everywhere, much like the work of Graham Humphreys that is discussed in today's episode. So I talked to the wonderful Chris Collier. This is the first time I've spoken to somebody who directs documentaries. I've spoken to film directors and all sorts of people in the film industry, but never anyone who's made documentaries. And I love Chris. Chris is just the loveliest person, so generous with his time and just generous in general. But he's a really, really lovely guy. I had a brilliant time chatting to him. For some reason, at the end of the conversation, my audio and video cut out, and we could only hear the little bits of conversation from Chris. So I've tried to cut around it. We did have a lovely little conversation as we were wrapping up, and we were talking about the book that he's working on. I made a hilarious joke about not liking cricket. I love it. It'll make a bit more sense when we get there. But yeah, we lost a lot of that audio. I'm not sure where it went. It disappeared into the ether. So sorry about that. But rest assured, we did have a lovely wrap up and a lovely goodbye. So you'll just hear Chris go, okay, bye, thanks. We did have a proper goodbye, but it disappeared. So enjoy my chat with Chris. Pause this right now. Go follow him on Instagram. because there are links to buy the film. So go and buy Captured Souls. If you are a fan of horror artwork, of underground goth subcultures, you will know Graham's work. I have 2 posters the other side of the wall, and I've got one behind me somewhere actually. I have Graham's work on my wall. I've got VHS and DVD and t-shirts and books and all sorts of things with his work on. And Captured Souls is just a beautiful, beautiful documentary. It was one of my favourites at FrightFest last year. It is a 5-star documentary. It is absolutely beautiful. So make sure you go and follow Chris, follow the links and go and pre-order one. Chris does give us a cheeky discount code during the episode. I'm not sure if it still works, but it's worth a shot. But yeah, you can get his film Captured Souls, but you can also pre-order his other documentaries as well, which he talks about during the conversation. So go do that now and then come back. And if you are watching this on video, I will pop the trailer in for the film as well to whet your appetite. So you've got some visuals before we start chatting about the film, and you can see how beautiful the documentary is. Okay, speak to you in a bit.
I find it hard not to think back to going to the pictures when I was younger. It's like the best trailer in the world, a good poster. You'd walk in and you'd see that poster and just think, oh my God, I want to see that.
It's thrilling to be part of your canon and to have been painted by you and of being Grahamed, because it feels like it's a glancing association with the real thing, you know, when knowing that you've done proper films, and our little tellies are being given the same treatment.
Your version of reality that you paint is actually a more true depiction of a person than a photograph. It's more 3D somehow, it's more tangible.
There's always that one moment in people's lives, and I know what mine are. The Evil Dead poster came along just at the right time for you. The right person saw it, the right person thought, this is the tenor of the times. You can't second guess that stuff. It's either going to happen or it doesn't.
I have hated any previous portrayal of myself. The way that you've done it, the way that you've painted me, you literally have clambered inside my soul.
I thought, well, this is the last time I'm going to see it now. Okay, one last look and that's goodbye.
Hi Chris, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. All the better for speaking to you. I'm very excited to have you on the podcast to talk about your wonderful documentary films. Can you introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners? Hopefully they'll know who you are because you're a very good director. But who are you and what films have you made? That was a weird way of asking, wasn't it?
Well, my name's Chris Collier and I've made 3 documentaries and a narrative film that nobody's ever heard of, hopefully. Well, let's talk about that first. So I made a narrative film to begin with, which
I'm going to hunt it down now.
You won't be able to find it, honestly. It was with a streaming service that went bankrupt. Unfortunately, I was able to remove it from the world quickly. It was incredibly badly received. If you could say it was even received. It was a sort of horror. It was an attempt at something like Eraserhead, but it was terrible.
All you're doing is selling it to me, Chris.
No, honestly, it's got Arthur Brown in it. I don't know if he was from the crazy world of Arthur Brown.
I know the name. Yeah.
He was in Tommy, and it's incredibly surreal and mostly awful. I made that. I then made a documentary about FrightFest called FrightFest Beneath the Dark Heart of Cinema. And then we had a COVID experience, and I was making a film during that. Well, before that, but then didn't happen. Then I made a film called Title Year Director Place, which is, potentially one of the most peculiar titles in the world. I love punctuation, and it's not only got a full stop in the title, it's also got brackets in it.
I like a bit of punctuation.
That's the story of a guy who had, in the 1960s, he decided he was going to make a list of every film in the world from every country, and he started to do that, and he's still doing that up till now. He's obviously quite an old man at this point, and he had an online database before IMDb, and really it's the story about a man whose legacy has been overtaken by something else, IMDb or the internet, and a man wondering what his legacy will be, and which is something that everybody thinks about. What are you going to leave behind? It's kind of it's a little bit like Captured Souls in that it's a personal story about a person. And then I made Captured Souls, which is the story of Graham Humphreys' life and also the subculture that goes along with his life. That was a very long way to talk about 3.5 films.
No, it's a perfect way. It's how we roll here. Everything is long-winded and tangential. No, it's a beautiful, beautiful film. That's how we were first introduced to each other, was because of Captured Souls. I was doing remote coverage of FrightFest, and I dropped you an email. And I know I've told you this story already, but when you replied, you said, "No, I don't want you to see it on a screen, or I want you to see it on the big screen." And I thought, oh, look at this fucking guy. Like, he wants everyone to see his film in on the big screen for the experience. But there was a very, very good reason why, which I understood. And I know you shared a little bit about it, but it's one of the most magical cinema moments I've ever had. Can you talk a little bit about that one particular moment, because that was very special?
Well, why don't you talk about that one particular moment?
Okay, so I've got to do your elevator pitch for you now, Chris. So
Okay.
the film follows the life of Graham Humphreys and his career in his words, but also the words of his collaborators and his fans. And it truly is a conversation with him rather than a load of boring talking heads, which I loved about it. And we get to see lots of Graham's work, and we get to see some of his most iconic pieces of work, including, and I believe it was the original, the first one, the poster for The Evil Dead, which he managed to get his hands on after it being missing for years and years and years. Got scanned in a 4K scan, and we got to see it on that bloody great screen in Leicester Square, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was glorious.
Because of the type of scan that it works out at about 36K.
Shut up. Really?
Which is why we could go into the individual brushstrokes.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That moment when you see it was amazing. But pushing in and in.
A scanned image in parts. That so when the animator put it together, we couldn't have it switched on so we could see it to see what it would look like, because the computer wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
We had to render it before we could see what we got. So he would do all the bits, and we'd know it was going to do this at this point and this at this point. We'd have to hope that it was right, render it, which would take a couple of hours, and then look at it and go, oh, it's not quite right, and then go back. But yeah, there were bits like that I knew in a cinema. When I make a film, I absolutely don't ever. I'm stupid, really. I never think anyone's going to watch it on the telly. Consequently, when people watch it on the telly, they go, well, so I'd like people to see them in a cinema. So there was that moment. And also, when Graham's painting, there are shots that they're filmed with a thing called a diopter, which is a thing you put in front of the lens that means you can move the lens closer without and focus. When you can move your camera too close to something and it won't focus. If you put one of these on, you can move it closer. So what I'd done over the last 2 films, I've experimented with these, and I get to a point where I've stacked 4 of them.
Wow.
So as Graham's painting, the camera is about 1.5 inches away from his finger. He's such a patient man. He was not annoyed by me at all. Well, he didn't show it if he was. But there's a point where we're so close to the painting that, on that big screen, his thumb is taking up like 1/4 of the screen. So I wanted people to experience that in the cinema and also experience the moment that Graham saw the film for the first time.
Yeah, that was lovely. That was really, really lovely. You were very kind and you kept me a ticket for the UK premiere at FrightFest, and it was very emotional actually watching that film, knowing that Graham hadn't seen it, because I think it's such a love letter to Graham, but also to the various different subcultures that are discussed in the film, to horror and the world of horror art and creativity. And he was very vulnerable, I think, in the film. I went into it just thinking it was going to be a retrospective on Graham's work, and I was looking forward to that because I'm relatively new as a fan of Graham, and realizing, oh, that's Graham's work and that's Graham's work, and sort of realizing. So I was expecting that and I was excited, but I didn't expect the level of care and attention to sharing Graham's story that we actually got. And it was really lovely to get to know Graham a little bit more as a person. I didn't know, I just knew him as this, famous, wonderful artist. I didn't know he lives not that far from me. I didn't, well, not anymore, but originates from Bristol in the West Country. That's not far from me. I had no idea. And I learned all these amazing things about, subcultures and things that were going on before I was born. All of the punk scene and the goth scene and everything that Graham was part of. It was fascinating. So he just delivered way more than I was expecting, which was really lovely. Was there a sort of main driver by sort of going at that angle rather than just a retrospective of his work, or was there something that sort of unfolded as you were going?
Well, I wanted to do something that was different from what you'd expect. So what you'd expect would be a genre documentary. So that is something, the FrightFest documentary is one.
Mm-hmm.
The other things I'd done before that, so the things I didn't mention, which were kind of a setup for that, is that me and my production partner used to do DVD extras for Arrow and people like that. So the things you get, extra things you get on the disc.
Which, thank you for your work, because I'm a very big physical media and special features enthusiast, collector. So thank you for your good work and your service.
Thank you. So years ago, we made like a 40-minute documentary about Necromantic, which is on that disc. And that was really the point where 40 minutes is not too much longer and you can make a feature. So we did that. But so those types of things are a genre documentary, like, I always say the kind of the gold standard for those are the ones Jake West makes, like Mancunian Man or the Video Nasties definitive guides. Those documentaries are like the perfect genre documentary. I'd made one of those, and then I'd made a film that was a more modern feeling art film, like you get an art documentary that you might see on Sky Arts or something like that. And I thought, well, that's how I want to treat this. I want to elevate. Well, elevate makes it sound like I'm being derogatory about a genre documentary, which I'm not, because I love those. They are amongst my favourite films. But I wanted to treat it like you would treat another artist, which is you'd give them an art documentary. So that was the idea. And I also wanted to surprise people. So they go in thinking they're going to get a film, because probably a lot of people at FrightFest would not have seen my second film. And then they're thinking they're going to get another FrightFest type thing. It'll be a series of people talking about his work, some pictures of the work, and maybe some clips of something. And I thought, well, we could surprise people by it being an art film. So and it pretty much was exactly as I'd planned it, which was rare. But yeah, and I was really pleased with how it was received. Everybody was like so receptive of it, and so surprised, as you said, about how it had been handled. And yeah, it was a really great screen. I've had a number of really good screenings with it.
Yeah, you had one in the PCC recently, didn't you?
Yeah, that was really amazing. Yeah, that was an amazing audience who really really got into it, and we had a really good Q&A panel afterwards. So yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, I think by the nature of the documentary, I think the kind of people who are going to turn up to come and see it are going to be people who are really invested in the horror genre or subculture, and probably fans of Graham's work as well. Can you remember, like, when you were first aware of Graham's work?
So no. Well, I know when I would have seen the work, because I would have seen it in a video shop,
Yeah.
and there would have been various bits that I would have seen over those few years, trying to work out if I was going to be able, me and my mates, which one of us was going to try and get it, whether we got the right person behind the counter who's going to let us have it. So I'd see the work like that. It was only probably, much later, when probably when I met Graham, which would have been quite a long time ago now. But yeah, somebody would have said, a bit like Andy Nyman, when Andy Nyman says in the film he didn't know who he was, and Graham explained to him. I think one of my friends, Billy Chainsaw, I did art installations with him, and Graham was there, and Graham just came up to me and said hello, liked what you done, which is something that's amazing about him. He would just come up and talk to people who've made something, and it's got absolutely no edge to him whatsoever.
He's such a good
nice
egg.
guy.
He's lovely.
Yeah. And yeah, Billy probably just said, "Oh, that's Graham Humphreys," or one of my friends said, "Oh, yeah, it's Graham Humphreys. He did this and this." I went, "Oh, wow, okay." And then, so all of the posters were done by Graham, and the FrightFest one was the first one I got done, and I said to Billy, "I need a poster. I'd really like Graham to do it. I'm not sure we've got enough money left. What do you think?" He said, and I said, "Would he even do it?" He said, "Just ask him." And I asked him, and he said, "Yeah." He'd give me a super deal, and he was like, "As long as I can fit it in." And the thing with Graham, this is my experience, is I'll say, "I need a poster for this film," and he'll go, "Okay," and they'll go, "There's the poster. You didn't get a choice in what it was."
You have what you're given.
Yeah, and it's like, but I wouldn't know what to ask for anyway.
Yeah.
So actually, I think with the Fright Fest one, I'd seen the heads that he'd done of them, and I said, "Can you do something with those heads?" Yeah, and he just went, "Yeah, I can do that," and he came back. That one didn't get changed at all, and yeah, I think I got him to change the font on the second one. That was about it. I think that annoyed him, and the third one, I think I just, it was, I probably did, I looked at it, went, yeah.
I can't imagine Graham like painting his own face. Like, he's such a humble and unassuming chap. Like, I can't imagine him being like, "Oh, yay, I get to paint my face now." But it's a really lovely poster. They're all really, really lovely. And like, that's how I discovered Graham's work, was through FrightFest. I've been going since 2021, but I've been volunteering since 2022. And somebody was like, "Oh, this is Graham. He does all the posters and the merch designs." And I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And we just chatted. No idea who he was, didn't know his work, but I liked the artwork on the posters, and I was like, that's cool. And I think I must have followed him on Instagram. And then more and more and more, I was like, oh, it's this guy. And you're saying about like Andy Nyman, and he didn't realise. I have somewhere in my house, I have the original big souvenir program from the first run of Ghost Stories with the artwork on it. And
Yeah.
I remember just being like, this is beautiful artwork. I love this. I'm going to keep this forever. And then probably only when I saw the documentary, I went, holy shit, that's Graham Humphreys' work. So I'm still finding out stuff all the time of
Yeah.
things he's done, because he's just got this huge legacy, and he doesn't look old enough to have like
Oh, no.
worked and painted for as long. Because as I was watching, I was like, whoa, he's way older than I thought he was. And that's a compliment.
Yeah.
But I had no idea he'd been so prolific as an artist for such a long time. And again, like you said, so unassuming and humble. He was just this guy who walked up to the merch table and bought his own merchandise from the FrightFest merch table. And I was like, dude, I feel bad selling you this stuff. I should be giving it to you. But he's so lovely. And yeah, I'm really enjoying finding more bits of work that he's done over the years. Like, I was really excited actually after mentioning Evil Dead earlier. Somebody on Instagram was selling a load of old horror VHS, and in the stack they had Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3. I was like, great, I'll have those. I didn't see the front covers of them until they turned up in a box in my house, and I opened them, and it's the original Graham artwork. I think they're probably like a couple of years down the line, so they've got like slightly different, but it's that artwork. So I now have VHS with that artwork on, which is a lovely thing to have in my collection. It's really, really lovely. But yeah, do you have a favourite piece of his work? I think the Ghost Stories definitely is mine.
Well, I can show you. I'm going to get one of the books, and I'll show you the one that was the favourite, that was supposed to be in the film, and then it wasn't in the film because he didn't really have a place. I think this is the book that was like the £200 one or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, I do not own one of those.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the other books are better. So, there it is. It was on the page. So this is the cover from a Dr. Feelgood album called Doctor's Orders.
See, I don't know Dr. Feelgood. So, like, the section in the documentary where I was talking about all the bands, I was like, I don't know who half these bands are.
So I really like that. And then so it would have been that, or I also like, this is in the film, keeps disappearing, the cover from Defying Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a poster of that's in the film. It's really blue, gorgeous.
Yeah.
However, after making the film, it's the Nightmare on Elm Street poster,
which is the one I just showed you on my wall.
Yeah, I've looked at it now so many times, and I thought, do you know what? There's more than that. That's an absolute piece of fine art.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's
yeah.
One of those things that, again, I didn't realise was Graham's work, and then I saw him at HorrorCon, and I was it's so hard to decide when you buy imprints from Graham what you want to buy. And the Hellraiser one that I have and the Nightmare on Elm Street one, I was like, right, I have to have those. They're absolutely beautiful, and they're signed, and they're on my wall, and they're glorious. And I've got another one I forgot to show you, actually, just out of shot. The new one he did for House of Thousand Corpses for the anniversary, like, that's one of my favourites as well. Is beautiful. But it's just so hard to pick. He's got so many.
Yeah.
So many.
I mean, going through to pick, so he picked 12 to begin with to work from, to form it around, to try and put a structure in place. And then some left, like the Dr. Feelgood one, and something around. I think Audition wasn't in the initial list because it was not a painting, but it found its way in because we needed to talk about Photoshop. But then there were all the other bits that we used in the film, and I got to choose those. So that was just, as we were doing that last bit of post, it was such a luxury to be able to go look through the books and go, okay, for the arrow bit, I could look through and go, all right, well, I want the poster for Spider Baby or this or Frankenhooker, and I could just give them a list, and then 10 minutes later they arrive. And I got to choose. So I really got to choose all of the other images that are in it, apart from the ones right at the end, which Graham chose, mainly because I don't think he wanted anybody to think he was dead. So the ones right at the end are from a lot of them aren't out yet.
Mm-hmm.
They might be out now, but at the time they were brand new. And he said put brand new ones at the end. So there's a lot of those.
You've got some amazing collaborators on this film. And I'm saying collaborators because they're part of the storytelling process, I think. I'm guessing it wasn't at all difficult to get any of them to agree to come and give their time and be on the film. I can imagine they were all like biting your hand off to be part of it.
Yeah, I think they were all relatively straightforward. Some were some were more difficult to find a time to do
Scheduling,
it. Yeah, because the aim was to shoot it in a week in one lump, but we couldn't get Kathy and Reese at that time. But we'd managed to do everybody, and then we did Kathy and Reese later on. But yeah, and we got everybody we asked for apart from one person and two people. So one of the people was Brian James from the from a goth. He was in the Damned, but it was also in Lords of the New Church.
That's one band I do know. I do know the Damned.
But sadly, he passed away, and we were going to come down and shoot with him in Brighton, which is where I live, and I was ill and I was in the hospital, and then I came out of the hospital and then he passed away. So that didn't happen. And that's a shame. Although, I'm not entirely sure where that fits into the film. But I guess it would have fit somewhere. And then there was another person that I won't say who it was, but, and they, I'm not sure they were required anyway.
So was it a case...
But I don't know, they didn't want to do it. So.
Yeah. Was it a case of you sort of sitting down and going, right, okay, these are the people I want to be in it? Or was it sort of people going, Chris, you're working on this. Can I be in it? I've got a great story about Graham and when we worked together on XYZ. Or was it just you sort of making that wish list of people?
Well, it was a wish list of people that I made. Some I made and then went to Graham and said, I want to get these people. And then there were other people that he went, well, I don't really know that person. What about this person? And so we moved it around and found people that, some of those people I wouldn't have been aware of were particularly friendly. I didn't know that Jasper had lived with Graham, but discovering that and being able to put somebody in to the film who'd lived with Graham in the period was really useful. But what was clear right from the start was I wasn't going to settle for. I'm going to give you an exclusive now. I'm going to be rude about Channel 5 documentaries. So you get those documentaries that are like 100 favorite children's toys, and they get a series of people to talk about a thought or somebody else's thing. And I thought, this cannot be people who are talking about like me talking about punk. Now, I might have read some stuff about it, but I was not there. So I could talk about it, but it wouldn't be authentic. It had to be people who were absolutely witness to the events in every case. So if we're going to talk about tartan covers and why they're white, it has to come from the man who invented it, and not somebody like me going, yeah, well, I had some tartan covers and they were white and it made me feel a certain way, which he did, but it's not the same. So we were really clear about that. It had to be from the horse's mouth. You know, if someone's going to talk about Jordan, it's got to be Alan and Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
don't know how we
that
got there,
works.
but
I think it works
there you go.
really
That was a
well.
tangent.
No, it's what we do. I just think it works really well because all of those stories then are coming from places of people who respect Graham and know Graham, and they're not people who are there for a paycheck or they're there to, you know, add something on their IMDb credits. They're there because they care about Graham and his work, and that really comes across. And I did find myself feeling really emotional quite a lot because of how Graham speaks about his life and his history and things, but just seeing the reverence everybody had talking about him as well was really lovely. And there are a few moments in the film where you can see it's quite difficult for Graham to talk about certain things, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he looks quite uncomfortable sometimes talking about himself positively, which I think a lot of us have that problem of like trying to, you know, blow our own horn and not hide our light under a bushel. But for somebody as incredibly talented as Graham to, you know, not think he's brilliant, I'm just, how can you not think you're brilliant? It was very emotional seeing him struggling talking about some of those different things in the film. And yeah, it moved me in a way I didn't expect it to. And like you said, him seeing it for the first time, he was quite, not dumbfounded because he was able to speak at the end, but you could see it was quite overwhelming at the end of the screening, and sort of like, wow. Like,
yeah, I knew it would be difficult. So there was a certain amount of orchestration in who was going to be sat next to him, so that I knew that the first person he turned to was going to tell him it was okay.
Yeah.
This is all right. Because it is, I mean, he's got used to it now, I think. But it is going to be difficult when you absolutely show somebody what they're really like on the screen, you know. And one thing that I tried to do, certainly since the second film, and particularly actually with that one, is everybody's extraordinary in some way, right? But people, as you rightly said, people don't say. It's really hard to talk about yourself, isn't it? And they don't want to. And when you, how can I explain it? When you spend time with someone, you've seen Graham around, you see what he's like, and you see him. If you put a camera on him, and then you cut the pieces that you would use normally, you just get a person talking about a thing. But if you take all of the other pieces, you get the full range of emotions that Graham has. You know, he gets annoyed about things. He's melancholy about some other things. He's thoughtful about what he wants to say. He cares about what he's saying. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the idea of showing the whole person is something that I've been interested in for a long time now. And because this is what happens. So we're at that point now, right, where I've said my 30 minutes of planned speech. Right, so this is a tip, right? Get people past 30 minutes. So everyone rocks up with their 30 minutes. This is what I'm come to tell you. Actually, I didn't really come with any minutes because it was you. I thought I'll just turn up. But normally I would go to an interview. I think, all right, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say this, this, and this. Once you've run out, that's when you start to get behind what. Yeah. So it's have enough time in the bank. You know, when I interviewed the FrightFest guys, I interviewed each of them for 6 hours in a go.
Jesus Christ. Lovely guys, but I can't imagine that. That must have been hard work.
By the time you've got to the end of 6 hours, I mean, Greg had a terrible migraine, and I think, but the others coped with it well. But you get the truth, If you've not seen it, you really should see it.
I
because
haven't
there's some
seen it
things in
yet. It
that
is on my
that,
list to see it.
I think people think that it will be one thing, and they are surprised when it's one thing, but it's also something else. Because there were, I worked for them for a period of time, and there was a period, and it was 2012, where I came away thinking there ain't going to be a 2013 because they were, they're falling out with each other so badly. Quite a lot of that is spoken about, and there's you should see it. I'll send you a thing.
I'd love to. Yeah, thank you.
So it's about So where did I start? About getting behind the person. So all of those the bit at the beginning where it opens on ums and ahs wasn't planned. That was a little accident where I'd been given a bit of temp music, just like the music you get before you get the real score, and it had these little gaps in it, and I thought, because I like films to start before they start. So I thought, okay, we could have a tiny little cold open, and we'll put a little in there, and then I found these other bits where he started thinking to himself out loud. I thought, I'll put that in, and it gives you a sense of what you're going to get. And then there were other bits that, in the moment when we filmed it, I knew about scanning the film. So I knew when I asked him about the Monster Club, he had to be past that 30 minutes, really relaxed, and into a point where he wasn't going to refuse to do it. Because if I asked him, walked into a room and said, should we talk about the Monster Club? He'd just go, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's rubbish. But we got to a point where I could say, so the Monster Club. And he spoke about it. And then at the end of it, he realised he had. And you see the bit where he takes a swig of his drink.
Like,
I'm just sitting there thinking, don't say anything. Don't say anything. This is the gold. And he does it, puts the thing down. He gives me this terrible look. He goes, all right. And I thought, that's going, because that's what people are really like, and how much, how strongly he feels about the way that turned out, and rightly so. He'd created one piece of work. He kind of got stitched up. He had to do what they wanted. It's not a thing he's very proud of. But it was also great to be able to have Reece Shearsmith say, it's one of the images that's, really important to him. Which also says something else about art, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've all got things that we absolutely, even just film, things that mean so much to us, and then you find out that the director fucking hates it and doesn't like it, and they think it's a piece of crap, and you're like, but that's my favourite film ever. It's art is subjective, isn't it? And I like that balance, like you said, like Reece saying, actually, he really likes that, and that's an important part of his journey and discovery of Graham and his work. Was having the film filmed in Graham's flat always the plan, or is that just a happy accident?
No, I'd had this idea that I'd hired somewhere to do it, and I'd got this elaborate scheme with mirrors, and then for some reason I decided we wouldn't do that. Maybe I went to Graham's. I think it was that I went there, maybe.
And you were like, holy shit, look how cool this house is.
I wonder if we could shoot it here. I think we talked about shooting it there, and we thought there wasn't. It's quite, that room that it's shot in is quite small. And there's quite a lot of equipment because there was 3 cameras and everything else. But I think it was, we were going to shoot it somewhere else. And then I guess you look around that room and go, God, if I could get all these other pieces in, this is another part of the story. Place is is a really important part of film.
Mm-hmm.
So
It looks really beautiful.
this may mean nothing to you, but if you think about the first Star Wars film,
Mm-hmm.
when Luke Skywalker first goes to Obi-Wan Kenobi's home, it's like this little hovel place, and they sit on these sort of stone things. You can't really see what they're sat on, but you're in this place and you understand where you are, and you understand their place in the story and what's happening. And then if you go to Revenge of the Sith, what's his name? Anakin Skywalker tells Padme, I can't even remember what he tells her. They're sat on a sofa and it looks like it's been bought from Marks and Spencer's. It tells you nothing about anything. It's like, if you're looking for the ultimate difference between the two films, one's about place and one's about some furniture. That one from the catalogue, and it's got cushions on it.
I
Star
don't know if
Wars.
I've seen.
Anyway.
Is that the middle one of the prequels?
It's the last one.
The last one. Oh, see, I was going to say, I don't know if I've seen that one. I've seen that one 3 times in the cinema, and I can't remember anything about it apart from when... no, I really can't remember anything about it. I like the Phantom Menace. I am that person who likes the Phantom Menace,
I
but
quite like that too,
I don't remember anything about the other two in the prequels, because I'm of the age that when they remastered Star Wars and re-released it, I was about 9 or 10, I think. So I got to go and see the original films in the cinema. So saw those films for the first time in the cinema on the big screen with my dad. Excellent. Fantastic, loved it. And then the prequels came out. So I was the right age to enjoy those when they came out, but I loved Phantom Menace, but the other two, don't remember anything about them at all. Nothing at all.
I quite like the Phantom Menace as years have gone by. There's something strangely attractive about it.
I like Jar Jar Binks, and I do not care. I love him. He is wonderful. I love Darth Maul, although I think people are loving Darth Maul now. There's a lot more like Darth Maul stories and things out there because he's cool as fuck. But my nickname when I was in year 7 of school from one of the teachers was Darth Maul, which I thought was the coolest fucking nickname ever because I had a big backpack with Darth Maul on it. I also used to wear like little buns in my hair as well, so it looked like I had little horns on my head, so that was another reason. But that's giving you another picture of.
I thought you were going to say I went to school with
me.
a full face makeup.
A double-ended lightsaber. I mean, I would have been that kid in school, to be honest. I would have. But no, the main reason
place.
Place.
So
that's
place
why I
important.
asked.
And placing Graham in that environment, and then everybody else in that environment, I think worked really well.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it was just because it looks so cool, because his house is beautiful, or whether it was to do with sort of, in the nicest possible way, disarming Graham and putting him in his comfort zone to be able to, like, get him to let his guard down a little bit and share a bit more. Or was that just a happy accident then that come about as part of that? Because I wasn't sure if that was a purposeful thing to try and make him more at ease.
No, I don't think that's... I mean, because there were a lot of lights, a lot of cameras. I think it didn't really feel like his room anymore.
Yeah.
We'd moved a lot of it around. Quite a lot of the artifacts, I went, okay, well, can that thing there, that thing that looks like it's priceless, can that go over there? And he was like, not really. It won't really move. Okay, can we move that one? So... it may have, I guess he was comfortable in that he could then go into another room and he was in his house. But he was also probably, there's a certain amount of inconvenience around that as well, because we were there for a week.
Yeah.
But his kitchen, which is not in the film, is like the boat from Dracula.
Shut up.
So it's got all
Why
this
is
red
that?
and
Why
all
haven't you
this
filmed his
bits.
kitchen? I
It
want
was
to see
very hard
Graham's
to film.
kitchen.
It looks and it just looks like a kitchen. So it's not really a place for the kitchen in the film.
The sequel. We'll have a sequel and it'll be called Graham's Kitchen, Captured Souls 2
Okay.
Electric Boogaloo. No, as weird as it is, one of the things I'm really looking forward to about watching it at home is being able to like pause it and look at things, including Graham's house, because like the brushwork and the brush strokes on the walls in his living room are so beautiful, and like I think he did that all himself, didn't he? And it just looks
Yeah.
amazing. And you can okay, we'll ignore all the graveyard of plants on the windowsill, but like I like dark decor and collecting things and having just stuff everywhere and books and DVDs and things. So I'm really looking forward to being able to pause and just see what treasures he has in his house. I know that sounds so weird, but I'm the person who likes to go on Rightmove and look at people's houses and see what things they collect and how they've decorated their houses and things. So Graham's house is just incredible. So
Yeah.
I do actually really want to see the Dracula kitchen. But
I'm trying to think if we took any photos of it. So talk about things around. I mean, there are things all over around the place, but I was filming Graham painting, and I stepped back and I kicked something that was stood against the wall.
oh
And
no.
it was like a frame. And I thought, oh, it's like a picture frame. It's the wrong way round. And I sort of picked it up and went to move it. It's the Evil Dead painting.
Oh,
And it was just like sat at the side of the thing. Anyway, I got to hold it, and yeah, and it's it's not huge, and
just in a frame on the floor, not
it
even
was
on the
well,
wall.
it was hanging. It was stood up against the thing. It was ready to go on the wall. It may have been. I mean, everyone who walks in there, he must have to show it to. So it's probably on and off the wall constantly, because everybody will want to see it. Yeah.
Like, Graham, let me look at the painting.
Yeah. And then, of course, he's got all of the paintings that he's painted,
They're all just in his house.
apart from the ones that he sold. So obviously, people do buy originals. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Oh, I'm going to invite myself round for a cup of tea next time I'm at FrightFest. I'll be like, hey, Graham, I'm going to come and see your cool kitchen, and I want to see all these paintings in your collections. It must be incredible to, like, have a look through all of those things.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah. Just the. I mean, the most astonishing thing is to see him painting, and
yeah, that was lovely.
you can get, because you're so conscious of what you're capturing in the frame, and you're looking to see, does that look nice, so that when I put it on the screen, it's going to look nice. That you can get carried away with looking at that, but there were definitely a few moments where I could stop to go, hang on, look away from the screen. That's happening right there. And there was a moment that I saw that, and you can see it a couple of times. There's this like hovering as he thinks, and then it's so fast. And when you see him doing it in person, it's like the time between the thought and the paint is like microseconds. It's like that, so fast, and the skill is unbelievable. And then he'll just do a bit, and then he'll just touch it with his finger, like you think you've
like
done
it's
it,
nothing.
just like that.
Yeah.
And then carry on, touch it, and you think, I'd be sitting there thinking, do I need to just do, or should? And it's like unbelievable, just so much skill.
Yeah, I think that's just how Graham is as a person as well. Like we keep saying, like how like relaxed and unassuming he is. His way of painting looks very much like that when he does her as well. And to look at, like me looking at the Nightmare on Elm Street one, you think that would have been something that he's thought about every single brush stroke and painstakingly thought about everything. But when you see him obviously there's thought behind it, but it just looks so effortless.
Mm.
Like, not sitting there going, right, where's the next one gonna go? He just does it, and that's something I really enjoyed watching, actually. I thought it'd be really fucking boring to watch someone paint, but it was actually really interesting, and like, my brain has been screaming at me this whole time because you said the word diopter earlier, and my brain wants me to go, split diopter shots are one of my favourite things in films ever. There we go, I've said it now, because it's just... The little ADHD gremlin was like, say that, you love split diopter shots. But yeah, it was just so beautifully done and really lovely to just sit and watch. And I could watch...
I'm gonna
like
do the same thing now. So the best split diopter shot, right? When you finished, go
Yeah.
onto YouTube,
Yeah.
go to type in All the President's Men,
Okay, I've never
split
seen that.
diopter shot.
Okay.
So it's an Alan Pakula film, which is
Gonna write it down. We're writing it down, Chris.
It's about Watergate, and it's got Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman in it. And there's a shot on Robert Redford as he's typing, and then it's got a split diopter, but it's got a sliding diopter. So there's a push in, and it does a push in, and the diopter check. It's the best one.
Oh, I don't know what it is about them, but they just... My brain just goes...
I like them when there's a nice shot, when you can't see the line. I don't like some of those Brian De Palma ones where it's all fluffy.
Yeah, see, I'm not... I've seen a couple of Brian De Palma films, but I'm not like a massive fan. But one of my favourite ones is mentioned in House of 1,000 Corpses earlier. There's a really nice shot there that I think is a split diopter shot, but I just... I don't know what it is. They just... I love them, to the point that I was like, how do they do this thing in films where it looks like this and this at the same time? And I was like, split diopter, keep that in your brain. Because I'm a nerd, it's like saying about special features and stuff. I just love to know how films are made. And I've just got such admiration for anybody who can write something, shoot something, do sound, just anything, because I just sit there just like, oh, wow, it's amazing. So, congratulations you on making 3.5 films, because it is a big undertaking. And even though you'd had loads of experience from doing special features and other short documentaries and stuff, it's still a big thing. How did you get into doing that in the first place? I know that's a big question, but where did it switch from being interested in film casually to wanting to be a filmmaker?
I think, I'm of the age where there's a lot of young men who saw Star Wars and then played in the playground, Star Wars, but we played like filming Star Wars.
Oh, you're that nerd.
So we were really interested in like blowing stuff up. Not that we ever blew anything up, but all of the explosions and how they did all of the effects. And so I was interested in film all through those young years. So this is young, probably definitely before I'm 11. So before I'm at secondary school. And then I became interested in music, and I became a musician. And then that's kind of all consuming when, and then I did that for a long time. And then I'd been interested in making a film. I talked about it, endlessly. And then in 2003, it's a long time ago, isn't it? I decided
it's not.
I
It was
gonna
like
make
2
one.
years ago. It was like 2 years
Yeah.
ago. Shh.
So, back then I'd had a dark room, and I'd shot black and white film and developed the negative, made the prints. So I had a good understanding of how I would shoot something on film, and I thought, that's it. We get a 16mm camera. We're going to go and make this film. I discovered how expensive that was going to be. So I shot, probably, 6 minutes of a film that we scanned it in. A little bit was in the film that I made later on. But I gave up at that point, and I decided if I wanted to do this, I needed to learn how to do it. So I sort of segued from being being in music production into sound design, and then that puts you in amongst the people, and you've got something you can do already, and then it puts you in amongst it, and then I learned how it all goes together. And so then I did lots of other people's jobs. I learned how to edit, and then I produced some things, and then I produced some DVD extras, and then I got to direct some DVD extras, and then eventually I got to a point I met Craig is my production partner who has edited each of the films, and I met him in 2013 at FrightFest, and he was sort of the person who, it often happens, somebody meets somebody who's the person who means you're actually going to go and do it. And so we made this first film. It's called Formetrica, and you'll never find it. And and it was a good experience. It was a terrible experience. What am I talking about? It was a nightmare for 2 years.
But that can be a good experience in turn.
Yeah, but we made a film with the actors and everything else that goes with it, and craft services, and it got finished. But at that point, we'd made a film, and then it was like we're going to make another one now. And so Arthur Brown had been in the film, and he is this quite mystical musician. He did this song Fire, which if you look it up afterwards, you would
I know it.
Go, oh, that you know it. Yes, so
Fire.
that's Arthur Brown.
Do, do, do. Yeah.
So he was in the Who's film Tommy, and he obviously worked with Ken Russell and lots of other things. So we were going to make a documentary about him, and that was my first real glimpse of like a feature-length documentary. We'd done the DVD extras at that point, and then the FrightFest one, that Arthur Brown one didn't pan out. So we'd started to shoot it, and then for one reason or another, it all fell apart, as happens. And I've told this story endlessly, so I apologise for people who've heard it before. Because of the age I am, I used to DJ in a rock club, and it was around the time that all the sub pop music arrived, so Nirvana and Soundgarden and everyone else. So I was a bit depressed that this film had finished. There was no film. One day you're making a film, the next day you're not making a film. So at the time I drank, so I was having a little drink, watching YouTube. I went on this morose, you get recommended another one and another one. And I ended up watching like the last 48 hours of Sid Vicious. And there's Alan Jones. I thought, there's more to these people than just a film festival. And then a few weeks later, I met Ian to talk about some stuff I was going to do for them at the festival. And I said, I know somebody was going to make you a documentary, and I know that's not panned out, but if I was going to do it, I would do this. I can't remember what that was. But he said, yeah, that sounds all right. Why don't you tell the others? So I went and met them, and they said, well, okay. And then we were making that. So I spent 2 years doing that, which we mostly shot at the worst place possible. We shot most of it in Shepherd's Bush. But fortunately, we had footage from lots of other places. So at that point, I guess I was hooked on documentary after I'd done those interviews. Yeah. And then now it just feels like the next one will be one of those, even though I've got, scripts and things that I would be interested in making one day. Not at the moment.
With the like 2 of the 3 documentaries, they're very focused on like horror and that sort of world, was that a world you were in already, or has it just sort of happened by accident that it's just sort of like, oh well, I've met these guys through the other work you were doing, and now you're like, oh, now I'm working for a horror film festival and I'm making a film about somebody who does a lot of horror focused art. Was that just a happy accident?
So, about, well, 2008, me and a friend Phil started a podcast in 2008. This is when,
Early days podcasting.
yeah. So we did 100 of them. And then we decided nobody would ever be able to make any money from a podcast, and we stopped.
Oh no.
We were right about that, weren't we?
I definitely don't
but
make any money.
But we made this podcast, and a lot of the films that we review, Phil had been to FrightFest since the beginning, and a lot of the films we review were at FrightFest. And I kind of, I like horror films as much as I like any other films. And I used to sort of take the mickey, the sort of typical things stereotypical things, people in their mother's basements, and I used to call him a zombie fetishist and things like that, which was all part of the shtick for the podcast. Ian Rattray was a listener of the podcast, it turned out.
Amazing.
And he spoke to Phil, and then we went to a screening of something, and he spoke to me, and he said, if you're going to take the piss, you really ought to see what it's like. So I went once in 2009. I have been every year since. And it isn't really about the films. So for a period I worked helping them with their media contact. So from 2011 to 2018, I think. So I did that. But yeah, there's a bit actually in the FrightFest documentary where Greg talks about it. There are people who kind of get, they're not really horror fans, but something about the festival draws them into it. But yeah, I enjoy the horror films.
Do you have any favourites?
Yeah. Oh God, loads. I mean, there's obvious things. I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an unbelievable film.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and Alien, and The Thing. So things like that, but I have to look on the shelf.
Oh, look at the shelf. Yes, look at the shelf.
Now. The shelf's not got much on it. I got rid of a lot of things, but oh God, there's so many, aren't there? I'm trying to think of the highlights from FrightFest, the things that have been amazing there, because that's when something could be really special. So, Human Centipede, seeing that there was amazing.
I wish I'd been there for that.
Seeing Liam Regan's second film, Ian Miss Campbell, was one of the most amazing screeners I've ever been to of anything ever, because there was so much of Liam, there. He was completely open about everything. And when a filmmaker does that, it's a really special moment. That was an amazing screening. And Troma films are definitely not, as you can tell from the things I've described, not really my cup of tea, but it was brilliant and it was an amazing event. But there's been such amazing films there. Monsters was there, the Gareth Edwards film. Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be a hard question, but it's just that's where my love of film has come from. Yeah, I've always loved film from from young, but it wasn't until I started getting into horror that I was like, oh, this is what I love. And I'm at the point now at 39. I'm like, grow up, try not to have such a funneled view of the world. Try and watch a bit more, and I'm trying to go to the cinema more now and watch more drama and comedy and other things, because for the last couple of years, because it's been such a comfort thing for me to watch horror, I have completely immersed myself in that world, and I'm trying to trying to broaden my horizons a little bit and be like, you don't have to watch Silence of the Lambs once a week every week. You can watch new films. And it's been very hard to like transition out of that.
Nothing
Like,
wrong with watching Silence of the Lambs once a week, every
no, I
week.
know. I can't remember the last time I watched it now.
There's definitely been periods when I've watched Alien endlessly.
Yeah.
You know, and there were certain films that I've watched time and time again. You know, I'm one of those people that if it's a film that I love, I will watch it a lot. Not watch everything that there is, but I'm trying to think what's in recently. I like the it's not a horror film, but I was surprised by the Ryan Gosling film that's around
Project
at the moment.
Hail Mary.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
it
really
is
surprised by that.
visually and like cinematography, one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen.
I thought it was really
Absolutely
good.
incredible. And like, I'm sure you know as a filmmaker, and you probably invested in these things, but like how little was done digitally in that film. Nearly everything was done practically. Like that. Have you seen how they did the shot with the infrared light and the
No.
they did all of that. You know, the shot where they're capturing the is it the astrophage bacteria and it's all red. They did all of that with they made some kind of like cool filter, and they did it all with infrared light and a load of filters, and they just like bodged a load of stuff to be able to do it, and it was all done practically. Like not a single bit of that was done digitally. And it's just, the first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this scene's amazing. Went away and watched a load of like how they did this and this and this. And then I watched the film again, and I found myself crying at the film at how beautiful it is, knowing they didn't use a computer. So like everything was wire work, and it was all done in camera with lighting and things. And I'm just like, as much as I don't understand as much as I'd love to about cinema, I can understand how much hard work it was to make that film without using digital as a crutch and being able to just be that clever. And I just kept finding myself crying all the time of just like how beautiful things were, and it was all done practically. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, there's something in the connection to the real world. This is obviously on a much smaller scale, but there's something that is probably not even noticeable to anybody in Captured Souls, which was a clear decision at the beginning. So when you watch anything now, there is a constant digital zoom in, the digital zoom in, particularly on documentary interviews. A moment comes, somebody's about to say something, we'll add a bit of emotion, we'll slowly push in on them. It's done in editing afterwards. Every YouTube video that's shot with one camera has there's not one single one in Captured Souls. However, the camera does zoom in, but the zoom ins were done in camera, in the room, and they were done by the camera operator with an instruction that is, if you can feel emotion in the room, you're allowed to zoom in. So the moment when that, I think there's something about more heightened about the moments that feel like Graham is feeling emotional about something because the camera is behaving in a way that reflects what was really happening in the space, rather than us sitting there. My other films have got things where we've sat there afterwards, like everybody does, and gone, at this point, we're just getting to just, push in a little bit. I went in thinking, no, the camera's either still or we'll do it there and then.
Yeah, and I think that definitely translates, because you've got that, like you said, that emotion in the room that a real person is responding to. And I know you can respond to that in edit, and you can do all those things in post, but that's a powerful thing to have in the room, to be like, oh, this is something that we really need to capture, whether that's being able to see like a little tear in the corner of someone's eye or just an emotion. That's really powerful. And that's the kind of things I love finding out about movies, like just little facts and things of how much thought has been put into things, because we can go outside with our iPhones and make a film and not put much thought or effort into it now. And knowing that there are people like yourself and like your camera operator who's connecting with the work as they are doing it, and it not just being about getting a close-up for a salacious moment, is about feeling that emotion and bringing the audience, I guess, like into that moment and bringing us closer. That's so powerful, and I appreciate that that's how you chose to do that, because I think, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just really lovely.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you've put that level of like love and care into it, and I think that's something that when you are looking at smaller budget productions and indie productions and things that people are doing for the love of the genre or the art form, that you get that level of care and attention that you don't quite often in you know, in bigger budget and mainstream stuff. And I don't go and see documentaries that have been released in cinemas. I don't really watch much on Netflix. I love documentaries, but it's not something that I ever seek out, because I think you do get that disconnect with it. But after seeing yours, I went and watched a couple of documentaries. They've just popped up from over the years on Amazon Prime about different things within the genre, and I was like, oh, okay. And they're not massively well produced. They're not shiny and lovely, but you can tell that the people making the film have really wanted to talk about this subject and share that subject with the world. And I think that's the most important thing in filmmaking, is being really passionate about something, and by hook or by crook you get out there and do it. And yeah, I love that about like lower budget stuff. I know that sometimes sounds like you're being disparaging, but I'm not at all.
Those genre documentaries that yeah, there's quite a lot on Amazon Prime over the years, but they're made by people who really know what they're talking about as well. You know, so there is a lot of love for the genre in them, but they also really know what they're talking about. So they, you know, are made for lower budgets, but the quality is in the information and the way it's presented. So there's a lot of really great ones over the years, and a lot of other really great documentaries. So I'll give you a few right now that are brilliant ones. Citizen 4 is one of the most incredible films. So, you know, Edward Snowden, he stole a load of information from the
Wikipedia guy.
Well, he released the information out on WikiLeaks. So he was the guy who. Yeah. So there's a film, Snowden, that's got never remember actors' names. It's not a good look, is it? So there's a film called Snowden about him, but this is the actual documentary, and it's shot as he's defecting, or I don't know if that's the right word. So you're in the hotel room as he's about to release this information to a Guardian journalist who's with them, and you're there, and it's, you know, horrifying, the level of surveillance that they talk about us being under. I mean, you'll be horrified, and then you'll watch it, and then we go back to our lives and don't worry about it. But that's a brilliant film. And oh god, thousands. I'll make you a list of brilliant documentaries, but there's lots.
Please do.
And most of the Werner Herzog, Grizzly Man's a brilliant documentary.
I've never seen any Herzog actually, but Grizzly Man is one I do need to get around to watching. But it's just building myself up to watching it because I know it's horrible.
Oh, it honestly, it isn't. It isn't. It's. No. I mean, it's tragic, but it's handled. It's a beautiful film, actually. Yeah, it's handled so beautifully. There's so much. So much. It says so much about humanity and about how we are. It's a really great film. Yeah. Do you like all the little bits of dust that I've specially arranged?
I
to
I
go
have
across the
noticed
camera?
them because anything I'm like, oh, what is that? And I get distracted very
There goes another
easily.
one.
Oh yeah, there's another one.
Yeah.
Oh, I was trying to think then. I saw you mentioned Texas Chainsaw. There was a documentary out last year about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and very similar to Captured Souls, that it is a documentary and it does have people talking, but it's not just talking heads. And I can't think for the life of me what it was called. Chain Reactions. There we go.
All right.
Have you seen that?
No.
Beautiful,
write it
beautiful
down.
documentary. Chain Reactions. It's about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and like the impact, but it is from various people in the film industry. So it's got Stephen King, obviously not film industry, but Stephen King,
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, Takeshi Miike, we're a king, we love
Oh
him.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, Alexandra Hella Nicholas and Karen Kasama.
Oh right.
And
Okay.
it's them
Yeah.
talking about their connection to it and sharing their stories. And it's a beautiful documentary, really lovely, really like well shot as well. It's really interesting. And again, it could be a really boring documentary, but it's really not. We've all seen so many documentaries of people talking about, oh, I really like this film and blah, blah, blah. But it's really lovely. And is it Daniel Pearl, the cinematographer for Texas Chainsaw? Is that his name? Daniel Pearl? I think
Don't
so.
know.
They talk a lot about his work in the film and how like influential that was and stuff. And it's really good. Definitely recommend it. That's one of my favorite documentaries I've seen in the last couple of years. And the other one is The Last Sacrifice. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
at FrightFest Glasgow, I think. And that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that as well. For a film that I'm not that interested in, as terrible as that is to say, as a horror fan, the story surrounding and the way the documentary was filmed and everything, I just thought it was absolutely fascinating. I loved it. So that's another one I need to pick up. But talking of picking up, people can now order Captured Souls. Tell everybody a little bit about that, where they can get it, where they need to go, and how they can go about it.
If they go to 24footsquare.com, so that is 24foot square, all one word, .com. That's the website. Or 24fsq.com. That'll take you to the site. There you can get you can pre-order Captured Souls and the FrightFest documentary. Very shortly you'll be able to pre-order Total Year Director Place. We're just waiting for some bits to come together for that and some rights to be released. And you will get some extra stuff. What does it have? It has a reversible sleeve, so you can either have Graham's art as is, or another version which looks a little bit like a nice, like Artificial Eye used to do these nice covers. It's a bit like that, like a contemporary cover. Captured Souls has a postcard that Graham's going to sign of a piece of his work. And he hasn't decided what it is yet. And there's a booklet in it that is quite long, and it has the film, and it has an interview with me, if anybody needed
I'm not
any more
watching
of that.
Ugh.
And it has a director and a commentary from me and the editor, and some deleted scenes. Well, they are actually extended sections, so each of the sections has been extended. And that's quite a lump. So it's quite a lot of extra stuff. It's not hugely expensive. And if you buy it and the FrightFest one, there's an offer on the site that you can get 10% off. The FrightFest one has loads of extra stuff. And the podcast I spoke about, so there's a commentary on there from me and the editor, Craig, but there's also a commentary that is me and Phil doing our 101st podcast, talking about how I ended up making a film about FrightFest. That has some deleted scenes on it, and it has some things that the FrightFest organisers definitely haven't seen themselves talking about.
Oh, that'd be fun. What you'll have to do is set up a camera and film them watching themselves talk about things, and that'll be interesting.
So at the moment, I can't actually remember the release dates, but they are almost certainly be earlier than those release dates. That is the last date they're coming. We are just waiting on the it's a rights thing with the FrightFest one, but we hope that that'll be really soon. And the Captured Souls was planned for August, but it will be earlier. It's reliant on us finishing some cinema dates. So we have one more date at the moment in Newcastle on the 8th of May at the really nice Tyneside Cinema.
Lovely.
Graham will be there with me. We did have a date in Wales, but unfortunately that's fallen through.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. However, we might do one there later on. So we're still working on that.
Well, that'd be lovely.
A lot of information.
No, it's good. It's lots of useful information. Like, I think we've learned over the last couple of years that no matter how long movies have been out and how long you've been able to buy them on DVD, people will still come to screenings because it's nice to be able to see films on the big screen, especially this one. It's going to be amazing at home to be able to sit and watch and pause and be able to rewatch little bits, but to be able to watch her on a big screen again, absolutely. If I can get to a screening, I'll be there. I went to see Amelie for the first time on the big screen this week.
Oh, wow.
I've watched that film probably 100 times since it came out 25 years ago, but I hadn't seen her on the big screen yet. So, there's always a market for people going to screenings, and especially if there's going to be like a Q&A with you and or Graham, people will be there. So it'll be nice if you can get some more dates in after the release, because that'll be lovely. But I scuppered myself on the release because I think I signed up on the website to be notified when it was available to buy, and I was so excited when I saw the email. I clicked so fast, pre-ordered it, and then noticed after the fact that I could have done the pre-order with the discount with both of them. Didn't notice because I was too excited and just ordered Capture Souls. So
well, if you were to order the FrightFest one, I think we had a special code for the Prince Charles Cinema. So the code is PCC. I think it still works.
Oh.
And that, I think, is the equivalent of ordering the two together.
Oh, well, there we go.
Wrong.
Discount for me.
See what happens.
Discount for me. Discount for everyone listening / watching. See if we. Well, actually, no, we don't want to give them the discount because then you'll get less money, Chris.
It's fine. They can have the discount.
They can have the discount. They can have the discount. Lovely. Well, that's very
I'm
kind
not sure if it works. I hope it works.
I'm not sure if anyone's listening to me either. I just keep talking into the void, hoping someone's listening. But apparently some people do. More fool them, but thank you, lovely people listening. So I think that's probably a good place talking about is anyone listening to start wrapping up. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think that covers everything. I'm working on a couple of new things. Documentaries. So I'd written written quite a lot of a documentary about Clive Barker, and then I couldn't get it started, and then I made the film about Graham, and then I've tried to start it again. So at the moment that is somewhere. I thought I was starting, then I think not. So we'll see if that goes. If not, I'm making a film about, are you ready? I'll see your reaction. About sports psychology and cricket. I shouldn't have warned you. Normally I get like a head tilt. It's like I go, really? So there's that. And then there is potential of a couple of other biographical genre ones. So similar to the ones that I've made before. Because, there's something very close to my heart about the genre and about making sure that some of the untold stories get told. I bet I can get you interested in cricket Wait there a second. So this is that for a dark cover. So yeah, so there's quite a lot of dark material. I mean, it may not remain that. Things start as one thing and end up as something else. So it may end up being along the way I'll discover somebody who was a cricketer who's made a horror film, and it'll be a film about. We'll get diverted. I don't think anybody's waiting for that one. Thank you. Bye.
Again, just to reiterate, I did have a lovely goodbye with Chris, but we've lost it. I don't know where it went. So sorry for that abrupt ending, but we did have a lovely chat. We did have a lovely conversation, but we just lost a bunch of recording. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you're watching the video. I had just a great time chatting to Chris, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at FrightFest in the summer. It was a couple of weeks ago that I recorded this. It took me quite a while to get around to editing and publishing. Very sorry, Chris. But since then, he has sent me his other 2 documentaries, and I've watched the FrightFest one. It is great. It is fascinating to see the conversations. We talk about it in the episode, you've heard it already, but to see those conversations, and I came to FrightFest after this period of time, so it's really interesting to see how things worked and how things were before I came along as a FrightFester. It's a really, really good documentary, and if you haven't already seen it, I hope that seeing the trailer and listening to the conversation with Chris has tempted you to watch it, because I absolutely loved it. This has come out a little bit too late, but he does have a screening on the 8th of May. So I know that's only a couple of days away, but if you are nearby and you're able to go and see it on the big screen. It is such a beautiful film, and you will not regret going along to see it on the big screen. And you'll get to see Chris, who is lovely, and Graham will be there as well. So we've mentioned that date already, but just to reiterate, if you can, go and see it. I know I've put this out a little bit too close to the date, but spoons, energy, you know the score by now. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure you follow the links in the show notes to the 24 Foot Square website so that you can go pre-order the films. Go follow Chris. And if you'd be so kind as to rate, review, subscribe, share, all those other lovely things that proper podcasters ask you to do, I'd really appreciate it, because I'm really enjoying podcasting. I'm still enjoying it. It's still fun, and I want to dedicate a bit more time to it, and knowing that I'm having those nice conversations with people, whether that is like a message afterwards or the conversations that I have with people for the episodes as well, are just so lovely. And I appreciate it. So any support you can give me would be absolutely wonderful. But I'm going to go now because I've still got to finish editing that Welsh episode I mentioned earlier. But yes, thank you so much for listening. I'll talk at you again soon. Bye.